Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of the Monsters Den. We've got the trio of Doom back together for the first time in a little bit. In the co-captain's chair, Mr. Chris Allo and Rich Catino.
What's happening, guys?
Woo! What's up, everybody?
What's going on, fellas?
Horror, sci-fi, and fantasy film scores and soundtracks. That's what's going on today. We have been asked about doing this for a long time, and I know Chris has often brought this topic up. And then when I brought it up to Rich was like, "Hell yes, let's do this." So what we've done is we've gone through our collections and picked out 5 of our favorite, like I said, horror, sci-fi, fantasy film scores and soundtracks, and we're going to talk a little bit about them today and why we like these. So, Rich, since you haven't been on in a month or so, we figure we'll let you kick things off today with your first selection.
First one. All right. My 4 and 5. It's tough. I can't decide.
He's still trying to figure it out, right? Yeah.
I'm numbering mine now as we speak, so I hear you.
Because I just, you know how it is when you watch a movie and you got a great horror score. It just fits so perfectly into the movie. So it's kind of hard for me to decide on that, especially being for metal fans. Like when you listen to like King Diamond, it's like listening to, you got to combine the heavy metal with the score, which he does a lot of times too with interludes and stuff. So
yeah,
that makes it so appealing, for a horror movie when it works, when it fits, So I think my 5, I'm going to go with Creepshow, the first one. So this isn't the CD. I don't have the CD with me, but I did order it from this place called Waxworks Records. I think I told you guys about it.
Yep.
I ordered it a few weeks ago, and I thought it was going to come maybe in time, but I didn't get it yet. But I'm on the website. If you go to waxworksrecords.com, when you look at the cover, it's like a reproduction of like comic book artwork, and it's a gatefold. Comes with 2 LPs, and then the cool thing too is you get these splatter. They do the splatter effects now on vinyl, so you can get. Let me see. I got to go down to it now. I was reading it before. It's pretty cool. You get these different effects. There's sea algae, like the one with the right when he's buried in the ocean.
Something to tide you over.
Yes, ghoulish gray. I forgot what the other one. There's a blood splatter, so it's really cool. I'm really looking forward to getting this. I always love Creepshow, the way they create the music that goes with the scenes. It's like perfect for the scenes.
Yeah, each section of the film has got like different. Yeah.
Right, and when you look at the track listing, they break it down into like she bashed his head in. Where's my cake? I want my cake. Like from the episode. It's very cool how they break it into these chapters, and there's 18 of them on one side. And then the other side, they got another 19 to 34. So you get all those snippets of music that complement what's happening in Creepshow. Very cool.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let me know when you get that in. I'd like to kind of see what that looks like.
Yes. Yeah, I'm very looking forward to this. This place has, it's the horror soundtrack like rabbit hole we were talking about. There's so many cool things and you can't get out of it. I'm trying to pick and choose what I want to get,
Without spending a fortune. Because that curse thing, right? It's
and a lot of horror soundtracks. I don't remember buying a lot of it in the 80s. Do you guys?
No,
I did a few, but not many.
Yeah, but like I go on the site, they got Black Christmas, The Fog, which is another one I want to get. The Fog, it's a good one. Yep. Carrie's on there. Rosemary's Baby.
Yep, those are all classics.
Child's Play. What's that?
Those were all classics.
Day of the Dead. They got the Godzilla Showa era. Forget it. I gotta stop.
Nice.
Yeah, the more you talk about it, the more all 3 of us are going to be like, yeah.
Right.
Pull out the credit card and go on there later today, right? So, yeah. All right, Chris, your first selection of the day.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was going to say to what Rich had just asked. Thinking about it, I'm like, well, the soundtrack thing is so different now. Now there is a market for soundtracks and collectible soundtracks, like Rich just mentioned, all these different vinyl versions. And, when these movies originally came out, Creepshow might not have had a soundtrack album because that was such a niche, niche thing. You know,
Yeah.
I remember there was a label, I think it was called, like, it was a French label, Varice Sarabandi or something like that, that they used to do reissues of soundtracks, but, like, you know, you couldn't get a lot of this stuff. You know, this was a very small market. Whereas now it's, you know, it's with the, you know, the rebirth of vinyl, it's definitely collectible. So it is definitely today. I would think today is like the golden age for
Yeah.
collecting movie soundtrack stuff. And yeah, something I did my top five, and I was like, just now I'm like, oh fuck, you know, there's a lot of similarities and some of the same artists, and I'm like, should I not do these? And I'm like, well, no, fuck it. These are my favorites. So
That's what it's all about, right? Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it. I don't want to lie and say, oh, Gone with the Wind is my favorite soundtrack, you know, because it's not. All right, so number five, one of my favorite composers of all time. Met him a bunch of times. Have a bunch of his shit. Seen him in concert twice, actually, and puts on an amazing show. Fabio Frizzi, who did the soundtrack for Lucio Fulci's masterpiece, Zombie. I'm putting this at number five. I just love Fulci Zombie, and I love the score. And Fritzy does an amazing job in concert. You know, he's come to America a couple times with the full band, and yeah, that's my pick.
Cool. All right. I kind of hinted when Rich and I were chatting about this a week ago that I might touch on some really old stuff on mine.
That counts.
And, my first selection definitely is going back a ways, and it's the score to The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh,
Ooh,
nice.
nice.
So and this, you know, multiple composers worked on this particular one. Henry Mancini being the main notable one, but also Hermann Stein, Milton Rosen, Hans Salter, and Robert Emmett Dolan also. So 35 minutes of very cool, like more kind of like big band classical type stuff, but very chilling, very ominous. And everybody remembered, if you're a fan of The Creature from the Black Lagoon, dun, 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 dun,
Yep, no doubt.
it's amazing, right? And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
here, kind of like what Rich was talking about before, it's like the whole score, the whole soundtrack is broken up into like 22 like little movements or tracks, right? So you got, you know, the diver, the webbed hand, almost caught, digger's failure, unknown river, tale of the mermaid. Of course, that's like, you know, so if you're a fan of the movie and you know the movie pretty well, as you kind of go through all the different track names, you basically can pinpoint exactly where these parts go into the film. And yeah, it's fun. You know, going back to Chris's point before, I think for me, I never bought a lot of these soundtracks and film scores because I think a lot of the movies where, to me anyway, where the music was very impactful, you heard enough of the music throughout the course of the movie. So you just kind of rewatch the movie and hear all the music. But I think what's cool about some of these is you get it with nothing else, right? There's no movie, it's just the isolated music tracks. So I think that's kind of cool. So yes, that's my first selection, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Ray Mancini and Company.
Nice.
Back to Rich.
All right. Going with sci-fi horror now. So I got this compilation. It's really cool. It's called the Alien Trilogy.
Oh, nice.
It's got selections from the first three Alien movies, but I'm picking the first Alien. I was re-listening to that one. And that one's really cool how they divide up subtle moments and quiet moments. And then when it starts to get more impactful and more tension is building, and then when the alien shows up, completely changes. And then it goes back to those subtle, quiet moments. Then it changes again, builds a little bit, and then you have another, splash of, accents and things like that. It gets more dramatic, and then it kind of mellows out again. It's nice peaks and valleys. Always love this one. Really good. A lot of tension, right?
I would agree 100%. Yeah. And I think, like I said, we talked about many times here on the show that I have fond memories of going to see that film, the first film in the theater, being a 13-year-old kid in 1979. And I to me, the understated, chilling, really claustrophobic music adds so much to that film. It's
yeah.
Yeah, great stuff.
This one gives you 7 tracks from the first one. Only a couple from Alien 3 and only a couple from Aliens. So yeah, you get the bulk of the songs on this one from the first one, which is classic.
Yeah.
I would love to get that on vinyl. I would love to find that because I'm pretty sure that came out on vinyl.
Yeah, I have it.
Oh, you do have it. Oh, cool.
I have an original.
You have that on vinyl?
Yeah, I saw Alien when Pete was 13. I was 8 when I saw it in 1979, and I was completely blown away. But again, what's different about today versus back then? You guys know there was no home video, so buying the soundtrack album, buying the novelization, and buying the comic book adaptation, those were the closest ways to relive the movie.
Yeah.
There was no way you could just watch Alien whenever you wanted to. There was no such thing. So, these kind of products, particularly soundtrack albums, was your closest way to feel like you were reliving the movie. Until you
remember those scenes with because you remember the movie with those different themes and things, right?
That's it. Yeah, because you couldn't just watch it whenever you wanted. That was a few years later.
Yeah.
Is your vinyl in good condition?
I'd have to look at it, Rich. It's been years, but next time I'm digging through my vinyl crates, which I only do when Pete asks for some kind of fucking show.
Because it's probably worth a few bucks. When I was looking up some vinyl on eBay and everything, I was like, wow, these, if you can find them or if you have them, they're going over for, over $100, $200, sometimes $300, depending on the movie. Yeah.
I remember too, I bought it with, I was at a horror movie convention in the early 90s, and I picked up, they were like $5 each for Alien and Rosemary's Baby. I have original pressings on both of those. So yeah, next time I'm in my garage, I'll have to, in the loft.
If you go to the Waxworks website, they have Rosemary's Baby, $30.
Oh, for a new one?
New one, yeah.
Okay, all right, that's very cool.
Do you guys remember when we went to Chiller Theater together a couple months ago? I don't remember seeing any like horror soundtrack vinyl or much of anything.
Either, but now when I go back again, that's gonna be on the list.
What you're gonna be looking for, right?
Yeah, I don't remember seeing those. But it could be maybe because they're so common now at stores. I mean, a lot of record stores do have beefed up, soundtrack sections for vinyl because vinyl sells so well now.
Yeah. True.
But yeah, you're right, Pete. I don't remember seeing any at that Chiller.
But I remember like at previous Chillers, like going back a few years, I used to see a good amount of vinyl. So all right, Chris, what do you got next?
All right, my next one. This is my one of my all-time favorite movies and one of my all-time favorite horror movie. And there is actually two different soundtrack albums for the same movie. Of course, there are different versions. But man, it is the greatest zombie movie of all time. Of course, I'm talking about Dawn of the Dead, which was released as Zombie in Europe. This is the CD score, the 20th anniversary version. This is the complete score from Goblin, who of course did the orchestral soundtrack. And besides that, George Romero did a ton of listening to library tracks and pulled, and I guess they wouldn't be public domain, but they're tracks that you can use for film projects and commercials. And somebody tracked them all down, and they did this album, which is all the different little songs. Like my two favorites are the Gonk, and which they later used for Robot Chicken, and the song "I'm a Man" when the guys are popping the beers, and so yeah, two different soundtrack albums for the movie. And I have another version that I haven't listened to yet. Pete, you have this too, I think. Both CDs are replicated on here. I have not, I admit, gone over if everything from these two is on the box set. But if you have this, then you have both soundtracks. But yeah, I totally dig it. And Goblin, I've seen there are two different touring versions of Goblin. And one of the times I saw them was in New York City, and me and my buddy Sean went to see them, and they played. The band set up under a movie screen, and they played all of the Argento cut of Dawn of the Dead, which is Zombie, and Goblin played all the music while the movie played, and which was very impressive because these guys were tight and they were in and out, and they never overplayed, and I don't know how no idea how they did it, but they somehow did it.
Yeah, that must have been pretty wild to see.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
And Galen Ross, who was in Dawn of the Dead, was right in front of us watching. So that was pretty cool.
And one thing I do want to mention, and we're starting to see a lot more now of, is a lot of these horror film reissues where they're coming out with these box sets that have, like Blu-ray and 4K and maybe DVD. A lot of them now are also releasing the soundtracks as a CD as part of these box sets. I mean, I've gotten a bunch of them. In fact, I'm pretty sure the Kindred that I just picked up is a 3-disc set, and I'm pretty sure that's got the CD in there as well, right? Yeah.
I think it's in there.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. I mean, I have a whole bunch of it. Yeah.
I mean, if you're into the music, I think that's great to have.
It's nice to have it, right? Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. All right, my next choice, film from 1977, directed by William Friedkin, who, of course, best known for releasing The Exorcist. Sorcerer, Tangerine Dream. Kind of an interesting film. It's kind of like a bleak kind of thriller. It's not really a horror film, not really sci-fi. It's more like a kind of thriller drama type of thing, but a pretty tense, chilling film, which unfortunately was kind of a bomb at the box office because they decided to release it right around the same time as Star Wars, and it got annihilated at the box office. But on its own, a pretty cool film, and I really like the soundtrack, because I like Tangerine Dream. I think it's just kind of cool, spacey, like weird synthesizer, music, I guess, whatever you want to call it. And if you're a fan of like 70s Tangerine Dream music, which is that whole kind of like German electronic minimalist expressionist type of music that was, pretty popular at the time. Really good one. It's kind of really interesting, chill out, weird, electronic music and stuff, all synths and different, loops and all sorts of crazy things. But yeah, that's a cool one. That's my number 4.
They did a lot of soundtrack stuff.
Yeah, they did. They did. Especially in the 80s, right? The 80s quite a bit.
I was gonna say, I always think of them because it's never been released on DVD, I don't believe. I have the laser disc of The Keep. Was that, I'm trying to think, I can't remember the guy that directed it. Is that the same guy that did Heat? Is that Michael Mann? I don't know. I'm old. I can't remember.
I don't remember.
But yeah, The Keep with the Nazi monsters and Nazi zombies in the hold up in the German warehouse castle. Really weird movie, but yeah, Tangerine Dream did that score, and that's a good one.
Yeah, quality music usually from them. So, all right, Rich.
All right, going into the vinyl now. So as the other two I picked, they're very specific, not specific, but tailored to the events that are happening in the movie, like Creepshow, and then Alien has your peaks and valleys, subtle parts and things like that. This one is kind of like that, but I think it's pretty scary throughout the whole thing. And when you're watching the movie, it's like one of those horror movies where you're watching the movie and they play the scary music so often that you don't know when the kills are going to happen. You know what I'm talking about? So it kind of sets that tone for the whole movie. Funhouse.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great one.
Which starts off, the first track is the main title, they call it, which has that kind of carnival theme going on because it takes place, at the carnival. And then they're in the funhouse when all the killing starts happening, when the kids get trapped in there. But that has kind of that carnival feel. But then when you go throughout the rest of the tracks and the rest of the movie, it's just scary front to back, I think. I don't know if you guys remember it, but I went back and listened to it, and then I found this vinyl recently. I was like, damn, this is awesome. So this quickly became a favorite of mine again. I was like, I forgot how good it was. And that's the back of it. No special inserts or anything like that. Just straight to, a straight print. I don't know how old this is because it doesn't have a copyright on it or anything. So it actually says promo for use. So
Yeah, I would like to hear that, like isolated, just like that, outside of the film. That's such an underrated movie.
Very cool. And when you look at the vinyl, it says enter on one side, like you're entering the Funhouse, and then exit with the monster on the back. Very cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was very cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give that a listen. I'm sure I could find that on YouTube or something. That's
Yep, it's on there.
Cool.
Yep.
Nice. Good choice. I love that movie. That's such a
that's one that I don't know if we did an episode of movies you didn't like and then you did like, or vice versa. And I don't remember if I mentioned this, but the Funhouse. I remember renting it as a kid, because it didn't do great in the theater, so it came out fairly quick, and I didn't like it for whatever reason. And then I watched it years later, and I loved it. I mean, it is pretty sleazy. The two girls are fucking gorgeous. I think the two main leads, and it's not really a slasher movie to me. It's like a haunted house movie.
Haunted house movie. And the director, if I'm right, isn't the director Toby Hooper?
Toby Hooper, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right?
Yep.
Yes, same guy. Yep.
Yeah, it's the one film by him that they never, people never talk about. It's like almost forget that he gets all the when you talk about Toby Hooper, it's always Chainsaw Massacre all the time. But I think that Funhouse is a really underrated film in his that he's working on. Yeah.
And I can't remember if Funhouse was before or after Poltergeist. I don't remember. Maybe before.
I thought it
was 80. Poltergeist was 82.
Poltergeist was 82.
Yeah.
So I think Funhouse is 80. Is that 81?
Let me see. I think it is 81, but I'll see. I'm looking it up. 81. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Year before.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna go check that out.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
All right, Chris, back to you.
All right, number 3 for me. I have 2 other versions of this one, and I couldn't find it, but I've already mentioned him. This is Fabio Frizzi's The Beyond. This is a version I got of the soundtrack that came with a graphic novel, which was really cool because besides all the suites from the film, they pulled out lines of dialogue in between the tracks, and they would throw a line of dialogue here or there, or a sound effect, or the zombies moaning. And I think this is an unbelievable score. In 2018 was the last time on Halloween night I went to go see Fabio Frizzi in concert in Albany. And he brought his band over, and similar to like I had seen with Zombie, they played The Beyond on the movie screen, and he had his whole band underneath the screen, and they played the entire score while the movie played, and it was an awesome experience. I mean, my wife she's not a huge horror movie fan, but she fucking hates Italian horror films because they never make sense to her. They're super violent and super gory, but she'd seen The Beyond before and hated it. But this experience with watching the band and Fabio Frizzi conduct everybody, she loved it. She's like, that was an amazing experience. So there's been rumors that he's going to come back. I think he's playing actually Maryland Death Fest in May. So I don't know if he's going to do a full-fledged tour, but having seen him twice before in concert, I would absolutely recommend, especially if you want to hear tracks from The Beyond and Zombie and all the other stuff he scored. It definitely worth checking out.
Interesting.
Yeah,
it's kind of a Maryland Death Fest, huh?
Yes, but like two or 3 years ago, they had Goblin.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, because they figure a lot of extreme metal fans are into horror films, so it makes perfect sense.
That's it, exactly. So it makes total sense, and I said it to somebody a couple of years ago. I was like, it's a fucking crazy world we're living in when, I can say that I've seen in concert, and a few of them multiple times, Fabio Frizzi, Goblin, and John Carpenter. Yeah. I'm like, this is nuts. Like, this should not be, and they all did great business.
Yeah.
You know, I seen John Carpenter sell out. You know, I forget which venue it was in the city, but I'm like, Jesus, I seen Danzig here with like 10% of the audience. Like, this is nuts.
Well, didn't John Carpenter go at Best Buy?
That's it. Yeah, that's where I saw him. Best Buy Theater.
Yeah.
Sold out show. Couldn't get in. And I'm like, wow, I've seen plenty of metal shows here where they were fucking giving away tickets.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, Chris mentioned a little story about his wife. I'll bring mine into this one. So my wife is actually a really big fan of this film. And before I met her, I had never seen it at all. So I've watched it with her countless times. And the soundtrack is really good. And I happen to like the guy who is the kind of producer and engineer of the soundtrack. So the film is a fantasy film. The film is Ladyhawke with Rutger Hauer, Matthew Broderick, Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah. Good fun film. Soundtrack is basically sounds like, I mean, you know, it's Alan Parsons who produced and engineered it, orchestrated, composed by Andrew Powell. It's like a big uplifting symphonic prog rock soundtrack. It's lots of fun. It sounds like basically like an instrumental Alan Parsons Project album, and it's broken down into like 23 different tracks and movements. And again, you know, you kind of go through the track listing, and if you know the film pretty well, you can kind of remember all of the big, you know, symphonic bursts and the big, you know, the dome and the orchestral stuff and all that kind of crap. But it's a lot of fun. It's a really cool album. And again, this is more kind of like a prog rock type of thing, orchestral prog rock, but still pretty cool. Ladyhawke, fun film too. So that's my pick.
I have never seen that. Is that with Ferris Bueller?
I don't think I have either.
Yeah, Matthew Broderick and Michelle Pfeiffer, who looks gorgeous in it, by the way. And Rutger Hauer plays a really cool role. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Good fantasy film. Yeah, it's good.
I'll have to check that out. And I was going to say one thing. I don't know. You guys mentioned the track titles on a lot of these albums. I don't know who comes up with that. I don't know if that's the composer or the somebody else. But a couple of years ago, so now whoever is coming up with it, they have to be a little more careful, because there was a huge thing a couple of years ago when The Force Awakens came out, because the soundtrack albums tend to get released before the movie.
And they give it away.
Oh, yeah.
One of the tracks was like the death of Han Solo. And everybody was like, holy shit, Han Solo's going to die in the new movie next week.
Oops.
So ever since, and that one movie was what? Was that like 10 years ago? 8 years? I don't know. However long it was, ever since, you know, at least for Star Wars anyway, the titles are totally like generic.
Generic, yeah. Yeah, because I think back in the day, they basically, you know, whatever was going on at the time in the film, they just did a little, you know, whatever. Yeah. But I could totally see where, especially nowadays, you can't be giving all this stuff away.
No.
When all these secret plot lines and developments in a lot of these films nowadays. Yeah.
Well, I mean, totally off the subject, but I mentioned it earlier, you know, again, reliving the movie was the, you know, your options were the comic book, the novelization, and the soundtrack album. And I remember as a kid, for both The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, I was such a huge fan that I bought the novelization before the movie came out and read the whole thing, and anybody could do it. Which is so crazy now, because you know you know the whole movie before going to see it. But now, of course, they don't do that. You know, the novelization for the movies now sometimes come out months after.
They usually change them up a little bit. Yeah. Times have changed.
Totally.
All right, Rich, back to you.
All right, another vinyl. So this is one of the reissue ones that I got. Don't know if it came out at the time when it came out, the movie, but it came out in 1987, the movie. And this reissue came out from this company called TerrorVision. Was that one of the ones I told you guys about too?
You might have mentioned it. I know the other one is the one you really highlighted, but yeah.
Yeah, the waxwork. So TerrorVision does this too with a lot of the retro cassettes. They're doing the retro cassettes now too. Do you like that stuff? So another one where when I was listening to it again, it's scary throughout too. So you don't really know where all the scares and things are happening, because it really sets a tone throughout the whole movie without throwing you off. So you don't know it until you're actually, you know, engaged in the movie and watching it. But this reissue is one of my favorites that I picked out of the dozen maybe that I ordered, because I was in the rabbit hole and the curse.
The curse is real.
So, it is. So I'm not going to tell you the movie, but I'm going to show you the cover, and you guys are going to know the movie.
Oh, is that from The Gate?
Yep.
That's
So
awesome.
this is the cover of the heavy metal fake band that the kids were listening to.
Yep.
Right before they woke up the monsters and the demon that was in the backyard and the hole in the ground.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Right. And then the back of it has the fake sacrifice that they had on the album cover and the symbols, right? So they give you that on the cover, and then when you take that off, it's very cool, very nice. Then you get the actual poster, which is awesome.
Ah, very cool. I'm actually surprised they didn't do it the other way, because I would think most people just flipping through in the store would be like, they would totally pass up the other cover.
Right. And then if the cover from the Sacrifix opens up to the Gate poster.
Oh, very cool.
It's almost like a slipcase. That's like,
yeah,
that's
basically.
Yeah. And then when you open up the gatefold,
look at that.
The demon pops up.
Wow, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Right?
That's super cool.
And then it looks like the wood that they put in the backyard on top of the ground. Right? So yeah. Awesome. And then the back, I love the back. I love the logo there.
Yeah, that's
how
great.
they do that. Right? And then you got
What's
the track
funny,
listing.
When you said 1987, I'm thinking, oh, what was a good horror movie from 1987? And for a minute, I go, I can't think of any. But yeah, The Gate. That's a lot of fun. That movie.
And then you get these, this, what is it, 180 gram? I think these things are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of weight to it. So this is like a blue marble look type of thing.
Look at that.
Very, very sharp, right? And it sounds incredible. The score sounds incredible. And then you remember when they were flipping through the Sacrifix album, there's all the little drawings like from the Evil Dead type of thing. So you get reproduction of that.
Wow.
With liner notes. So this is really, really worth it.
They went all out on that. That's great.
Yeah. Well worth it.
See what you've done to yourself, Rich, now that you went and got that, and they got all these other ones.
What's the note there, Rich, on the back? It looks like, right there, Rich.
On the other side of the vinyl. No,
it's on the vinyl. There's like a Post-it note or something. The hell is that?
Oh, that was the thing that was stuck on the vinyl, which tells you what's included in the vinyl.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah, that's your hype sticker. The hype sticker.
They put the sticker on it. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's very nice.
That's very cool.
Nice. Highly recommend.
That's very impressive. That's a fun little film too.
Oh yeah, so much fun.
And the score is great. It's not fun or anything. It's scary. It's scary throughout. I listened to it again, and the whole thing has this, scary feel to the whole score. So, like I said, when you're watching it, it's like when you're watching a movie, you really don't know what's going to happen until it's actually happening.
Yeah,
it's not like they have those. What's that?
It was like one of the last horror films in the 80s that used like the stop motion effects for the creatures until like the full moon stuff started.
I was going to say until Charles Band
full moon type of thing. Yeah.
Yep.
And I was going to say, Gate's a lot of fun. Definitely has the metal connection, and that's one of those movies I had absolutely no idea there was a sequel. And then probably like 8 or 10 years ago, I'm at the Exhumed Films 24-hour horror-thon, and the clue, Pete, was just something like horror sequel that's not as good as the original. And I had no idea. All of a sudden it came on screen, Gate 2. I'm like, wait, there's a sequel to The Gate? All the kids were a little older, but they were still young. Yeah. I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but
I've never
saw it as a kid. And it's still fun. Not as good as the original, but yeah, definitely one of those sequels you never knew existed.
No, never heard of it. Never heard of it. Cool.
That's
a good pickup.
That's a lot of fun. Yeah, that's very cool, Rich.
And which website did you get that one from?
This is from TerrorVision.
TerrorVision, okay.
Which they do a whole bunch of cassette reproductions. They got vinyl. They got T-shirts. Yeah, I'm on the site right now. It's very cool. Good variety of things you can get.
Our regular Monsters Den viewers are going to be hating you after this episode.
I hate myself right now because I'm going to be buying more.
That's funny.
Oh, too much. All right, Chris, back to you.
All right, my number two. This I've mentioned this. We talked about this in an episode of something for some reason, Pete. The TV spot when I saw this in 1977 scared the living shit out of me. I didn't see the movie till probably 10 years later, and I loved it. Have a couple versions of the soundtrack, and I think it's me personally, I think it's one of the scariest soundtracks of all time. Whenever I watch the movie, I turn the volume up really fucking high, and it is frightening. And yeah, I saw these guys in concert, like I mentioned twice. It is the Suspiria album from Italian prog rockers Goblin. And man, this movie is amazing. It's my favorite Argento film, and I think the score is just unbelievable. And one of those movies that just you can't separate the two. They're just so embedded in one another. And when there's some creepy shit going on screen, and there's the sighs and the little bells dinging, it just creeps me out, man. I just love the score and love the movie.
Yeah. I had a feeling you were going to choose that one. I almost chose that one. I decided to do the same band basically, but do an earlier one. So I'm going to go Goblin, Profondo, Rosso. And kind of like what Rich had with the Alien one, I have like a compilation that's got like a best of a lot of the soundtrack stuff on here. And whether it's Suspiria, Tenebrae, or Profondo Rosso, I mean, Goblin soundtracks on all these are just absolutely amazing. This one's got the weird little children's
School at Night.
Yeah, which is just creepy as all
the
hell.
track name, yeah.
Yeah. It's it's Goblin just did an amazing job on a lot of these Argento classics, and it's creepy. It's kind of like the Profondo Rosso one. It's creepy in spots, a little funky in others, right? It's not as I think atmospheric as the Suspiria one. It's a little bit more because it's a little bit earlier in the 70s, obviously, but you can't go wrong with either one of them. So I'm going to go with the Profondo Rosso, and get back to Rich.
All right. Number one, right?
Yep.
All right. So I was contemplating which one I was going to pick from this movie. But no, my choice, I don't know if everybody's going to agree or if you guys would, but it's cool that we haven't picked anything like this yet. Maybe as popular. But I'm going to go with not Halloween 1. Which one do you think I'm going to pick?
Halloween 3.
Pete?
That's my guess. I guess not.
Halloween 2.
Okay, there you go.
Because when I went back, love Halloween, but I realized that a lot of the themes and the piano repeats itself a lot. It's a lot of the same themes repeated over and over, just manipulated a little bit differently, maybe. And a couple other, themes depending on the person's kill. That happens. But when you listen to this one, there's all different other sound effects that John Carpenter was using. And I don't know what kind of synthesizers he was using. They have them listed here. There's all kinds of stuff. But it embellishes so much on the original that I think it's better than the first one. And it's really scary, too. The way it expands on all the themes from Halloween and takes it a step further. I think it works much better than the first one. So I had to go with the second one over the first one. Yeah, even though I love Halloween 1 more than Halloween 2, I think this score serves more purpose for the film.
A little more variety, you think? I got to go re-listen to it. So
much more variety, yeah. Because it's like layers of keyboards and piano that he used. Actually, I don't even think there's any piano. It's mostly keyboards and other sound effects that they use at the time.
Well, he probably had more money for the second one. Probably had more time.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one was done.
And that was what? First one was 78. This is 81, right? So it's 3 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all right, if I look at because I actually listed the instruments, it says a Prophet 10, a Prophet 3, a Roland CSQ 600 sequencer, sequential circuit 700 programmer. So they use all kinds of things to combine all these sounds, to make the score to this. And I thought it worked great.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go revisit that.
And of course, the main theme, for Halloween, the piano and other themes from the first one are in Halloween too. But like I said, they're just expanded upon. And there's other sounds and things that he pulls into it that really broadens it.
Yeah.
But I do like Halloween 3. I was going to say, I do like Halloween 3. I listened to that too. That was another one I was going to maybe
I thought it was
pick.
going to be Silver Shamrock was going to be the one that put you over the edge. But
I really like 3. 3's spooky too. It's really spooky. Yeah. It's scary too. Yeah. But this one won me over.
Well, 2 is a great movie. I mean, one of the best sequels of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I agree.
But when you listen to it, like I said, when you listen to Halloween 1, take what you're hearing in Halloween 1. You'll hear it again in Halloween 2, but it just takes it to the next level.
Okay. I'm going to go do that exercise. Nice. All right, Chris, your final choice of the day.
Okay, my final choice. It's a little different in that it's not horror or Italian, and it's not by Goblin or Frizzi. But yeah, I think this is probably my all-time favorite horror, my all-time favorite soundtrack of all time. And I'm not in the military, but man, if I was ever in the military and we had a charge into battle, I would not be listening to Slayer or Napalm Death. I would absolutely be listening to Basil Polidoris's Conan the Barbarian soundtrack.
Chris, that was a contender for me. I have it here. I have the same. I think I had that same score, same CD.
Yeah, this is the. I bought it 3 or 4 times. This is the original CD, and this is the limited edition triple CD set of the complete score with bonus tracks. And man, this score is unbelievable. I mean, every time I hear it, I can just picture riding a horse, or I should say a steed, into battle. I mean, this is just the most bombastic score ever. But there's some, delicate light moments too for like the love scenes. But this is one of my favorite movies. I've got the symbol for the Temple of Set tattooed on my arm, and man, I could watch this movie every week, and I listen to this score quite a bit. It's just it's a masterpiece. I mean, he did. I have his other scores for his action movies. He did RoboCop, and he did Red Dawn, and he did the Conan the Barbarian ride at Universal Studios. So he's done some really great action scores. But man, the Conan soundtrack is just unbelievable.
Good choice. Good choice. All right, my number one, also not really a horror film. Well, I guess it is a monster film. It's more kind of like an adventure film. And I'm going all the way back to 1933. The original score by Max Steiner for King Kong. Which, interesting fact, I didn't know this till just recently. RKO Pictures actually wanted Max to reuse other film scores from other sources, or other music from other sources. This is actually the first talking picture, the first non-silent film that actually had its own original score ever in Hollywood history.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty cool, right? So they actually they wanted to cut costs and not do that, but he insisted that he wanted to score an original piece for the film. And yeah, it's pretty amazing. I can't find I have it on CD. I can't find it anywhere, but yeah, just amazing. If the film wasn't amazing enough and such like a great cinematic achievement for the time, the score is just absolutely sweeping and just majestic and bombastic. And especially like the scenes where they're like the one scene that comes to mind is when Fay Wray and with Jack Douglas, I think his name was, the actor who played drawing a blank here. Anyway, where they're running, where he is
Armstrong popping in my head.
Yeah, I think you were correct. Yeah, I'm just, for whatever reason, my the names.
You got the olds.
I got the olds, man. Hold on, I'll tell you in a second. Robert Armstrong. No, Robert Armstrong is Carl Denham. Bruce Cabot. Jack Driscoll. That's okay. Jack Driscoll. So when Jack,
there was an Armstrong somewhere.
You were right. Yeah. When he goes and rescues Fay Wray's character Ann Darrow from Kong, and they're racing through the woods because Kong is up on the the cliff fighting the pterodactyls, right?
Yeah,
And then he
pterodactyl,
realizes that she's gone, and he's like chasing after, and and they're running through the woods. I mean, the whole like score is just going berserk. And on the other side of the big gate there, you've got all the islanders going nuts, and it's just amazing. And the score is just like totally booming above everything else. Just absolutely amazing. So yeah, that was my number one.
That's awesome.
Any honorables, Rich?
Yes. Sleepy Hollow. I always like that one. I got this really cool compilation too. Friday the 13th movies. I went with part 2. Really like part 2. Part 1's cool, but I think part 2 is better.
And that's what, a compilation, like the best of some of the first few films?
Yeah, it goes through the best ones, actually. It's actually 1 through, well, not all the best ones, 1 through 6. I would say the best ones are 1 through 4, which are my favorites, but it goes through 6. But 2 and 4 are my favorites. If I had to pick, the score from those, but probably 2. But this is a cool compilation.
Cool. Yeah, I've never seen that. Awesome.
And my third one would be, I picked 3, Interview with the Vampire. Like a lot of cool strings and stuff on this, and different atmospheres that this soundtrack creates for what's happening in the movie, which is a great movie. One of my favorite vampire movies. So yeah, Interview with the Vampire too.
That's got a lot of classical themes in it, right? I mean, I just watched
classical themes, yeah. Lots of strings, things like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Chris, you got any honorables?
Yeah. Another Italian one. Make Them Die Slowly, from Rudy Maglione. I love the score to this movie. It's my favorite cannibal movie. It's not the best movie, but it's the best cannibal movie. It's a lot of fun, but man, I love the score. Rich mentioned Halloween 2. Yes, Halloween 1. I couldn't find the disc, but I definitely have it, and I love it. John Williams' Jaws. Couldn't find that disc either, but that's a great soundtrack. And yeah, sure, it's overplayed, but the original Star Wars trilogy, again, from John Williams. Man, as a kid, I had all of these on vinyl. Still got them somewhere. Played the hell out of all 3 of them, and this is one of the CD box sets from some years back. So yeah, I think that's it for me.
Yeah, the only one I have, and ironically, I've never owned it, but I really should go out and get it because I fucking love it. Akira Ifukube's score to the original Godzilla from 1954.
Oh. That's one that I have. One of
the I picked that one. I'm wearing Godzilla. What's wrong with me?
I know, right? So, Chris, you have a compilation that's got.
I have a compilation of different, the music from the different Godzilla movies.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like you guys had on some of the other, Goblin and
yeah.
Because that's a rabbit hole. Like if you went down and wanted to collect this, the soundtracks from every Godzilla movie, it's like, oh, holy shit, that's an industry into itself.
Yeah.
The
so dramatic, and dark too sometimes.
Could you just imagine like seeing those films without his scores on them? You can't do it, right?
No.
You can't do it. It's not the same.
It's like watching Halloween without the score.
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
Yeah. I will say the first time I saw the original Godzilla film in theaters, remember when they re-released it in the theaters like in the early 2000s?
I want to say 2000.
Yeah, it was like the 50th anniversary, I want to say.
Yeah, I want to say 2004.
Right. So I saw it in Suffern, New York at the old theater there. I forget what the name of the theater is. And, it was the Japanese version, obviously, which is the only one you should watch. But I remember like that score just like bursting out of the speakers. And I was like, this is like the greatest experience ever.
I did the same thing. I was in Philly with my girlfriend at the time, and we were there for some concert and just driving around during the day, saw it on the marquee. I was like, oh, we got to see this. And yeah, the score, of course, is unbelievable to hear it, and with a nice sound system. And of course, the movie, the original version, is so horrific.
Yeah,
it really is a horror movie. I mean,
it's a horror monster movie.
Yeah,
it's so dark and
bleak,
unsettling, bleak, just so different from all
everything that followed. Yeah. Even when you look at the suit, even though it's a guy in a suit, the way they photograph it, the photography, the shots that they do, the angles, it doesn't look like that because of the shadow and the light and how they do that and how they.
And it's black and white, so that makes it different.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's funny how, us here in the States, a lot of us grew up on the Raymond Burr Americanized version, which
Yes,
I thought was great too when I was a kid. But man,
absolutely.
I will never watch that version again,
Yeah,
ever. Once I
They
saw
cut
the
so much.
Japanese, yeah, they took so much out of it, and it doesn't have the impact, and all the
no,
scenes with him in it are just like it's throwaway.
yeah.
You don't need it.
Yeah, no good. No good. Well, there you have it, everybody. Some of our favorite soundtracks and film scores from classic horror, sci-fi, fantasy, thrillers, and so on and so forth. So put some of your favorites down in the comments below. There's plenty of them out there, so plenty to choose from. It'll be cool to see what everybody comes up with down below in the comments. So I want to thank Rich and Chris for both doing the homework and putting this stuff together. This was kind of fun. And visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. For Chris Allo and Rich Catino, thanks for watching The Monsters Den. We'll see you all next Thursday night with more fun. And I am Pete Pardo. Have a good one. Bye-bye.